Right, my man of the match.
Oh, shit.
I know what you're thinking. You're looking and thinking, oh my God, Beth has got it really tight this evening. Look at the state of it. It is, Kev. It's not Beth. We are here on the fan forum. It's Fenerbahce against Manchester United. It has ended 1-1. It's our job here. I don't necessarily think it's a therapy forum, but we're certainly here to dissect it, go through the key points of the game, goals, everything that goes with it, team selection. How are you looking at this one? Was it points dropped? Or was it a good point away to Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce? Make sure you get your super chats in, get in the comment section, and make sure to like the video. I've got to say that I'm very, very welcome. Well, I have to welcome Sam, Tull, and Maud. How are we?
Very, very good. I mean, should we get straight into it?
I've detected a bit of doom and gloom here, boys. Don't let me down.
You know what it is? There's actually a lot to talk about, but it's like, where do you start? Like, what's the first talking point? I mean, we can talk about the game in general. I think it's even though I would say Fenerbahce were for a large part of the game the better team, that had a lot of chances. I think the way our United were playing, we should have done a lot better. And I feel like whenever we could have done better, I see it as points dropped. I know. I think Mourinho's was it Ten Hag who said that? What was his quote again?
He said the
it was a good result
wins
or something.
against Porto. The results against Porto and Fenerbahce are a good result.
Yeah, I think that's just whenever he speaks in press conferences, it makes me not like him more. I've been Ten Hag out, by the way, since the Spurs game, so I've kind of gotten over that hump now, and I'm firmly like. Yeah,
Tell us what you really feel, Maud. Don't hold back.
No, I'm not holding back. Like I've been saying, I'm Ten Hag out. But in terms of that quote, I just think it's such a weak thing to say. Such a weak mentality to have. You should never get a draw and think, oh, that's a great result. You should always try and aim for a win. I always say when we play Europa League games, if that team was in the Premier League and we drew, would you be happy? No. You wouldn't look at, if Fenerbahce were in the Premier League, and let's just say, I don't watch them every week, but let's just say they're a mid-table team in the Premier League and we got a draw, you're going to say that's a good result. No, you're going to be like, that's definitely 2 points dropped because you're going to want to take 3 points every game, but because it's in the Europa League, you're happy with it. It makes no sense. I just think it's a weak mentality from the manager.
Tull, great starting point that. Weak mentality. Are you looking at points dropped, or on reflection, you kick back and look at this and think, do you know what, away to Fenerbahce, on the grand scheme of things, that's a decent point?
It's a really weird one that I'm on the fence about, because on one hand...
No sitting on the fence on the fan floor and get off that fence.
On one hand, I do think, you know, away to Porto and Fenerbahce, they're really... The fact that we got both of them away from home and not one of them at Old Trafford, both of them away from home, that's tough. So on one hand, I kind of think like, yeah, maybe coming out of those two games without losing any of them, yeah, it's not the end of the world, because if you have a look at our next two fixtures at home, you'd think, realistically, those have to be, that has to be 6 points on the board. Like, I'm going to say easily as well. With it being at Old Trafford, it's two teams I've never even heard of. It should realistically be a guaranteed 6 points. I think if we beat Twente, like we were saying before the show, these two draws wouldn't be an absolute catastrophe. My frustration comes from the fact that all three games were in our hands and we've gave up the lead. You know, we went 1-0 up at Twente, we bottled it. We went 2-0 up at Porto, we big time bottled it. And then we got 1-0 up tonight, and all we had to do was control the game, and then they came out the second half, and it wasn't it. And then that was it. Then the game was out of our hands for the vast majority of the second half. So that's where my frustration comes from tonight, the fact that we can't hold on to a lead.
I suppose that is the thing, Sam, because you look at, I suppose on paper, before this kind of Europa League campaign, you looked at these fixtures, and the Porto Fenerbahce way would have stood out, where you'd have thought, well, if we can get something out of that, it's something to kind of take and crack on and try and progress in this competition. But it was definitely the FC Twente kind of draw that's knocked the wind out of United's sails in this competition, because you would have had us down for 3 points. If we'd have done that, you know, another 2 points here, you know, on the road, it would have looked good. But I suppose, like Tull says, it's the manner of giving up, you know, leads that's a bit of a concern for United at this moment.
Yeah, I said it when we were off air. I don't understand. I'm struggling, and I'm pretty sure none of us on this table could give an explanation of But it's never both. It's always different in every game. The drop off from one half to another. We either have a really poor first half and come out in the second, or a really good first half and don't come out the other way around. But it's like, how can our players play for 45 minutes? Why can't they play for 90 minutes? Like, they have to. Overall today, I didn't think we were awful. Look, we weren't great. Fenerbahce was a better team, but we weren't awful. And individual errors let us down. Lindelof, he let us down. I thought Zirkzee was poor. I think Ugarte had a good game. It's just, why are we one half FC every single game?
Well, it was evident at the weekend against Brentford as well, wasn't it? Where first half, all right, but it certainly is not sustainable. And against better teams, you are going to get beat. But let's, before we go through the key moments in the game, the one thing, and it was the highlight of the countdown to kick off, me and Maud. If you've not seen that, get back later on and watch it. You will never see a team announced where me and Maud were completely and utterly baffled, like you, the United Stand viewers, when you heard that Mazraoui was playing in that number 10 role. I mean, we need to look at this now. I think it's a massive talking point as to whether that paid off for Ten Hag today. Obviously, the fact that he had to switch it and revert him from that 10 role probably suggests that it didn't work, but it was a big call, wasn't it, Marks?
Huge call, and like you said on the build-up show, it wasn't even necessarily a case of like we'd seen a little bit of it, and it was like maybe he's a versatile player, and maybe his attributes could transition him into that position. No one has seen anything like that. We've not seen him play that, and he's a new player as well. So it's not like we know a lot about Mazraoui. We only know what we see in the season, and maybe if you watched Bayern or maybe if you watch some Ajax, you will know more.
And anyone that's sat at home now that's going, I've always said try that Mazraoui in the 10. You're a liar. That's what you are.
You're lying. So it genuinely is only something that Ten Hag knew, or that Ten Hag had in his mindset. Nobody else had that in the mind, thinking that this is a player that could play in that position. And like you said, I wouldn't say he played bad. Look, I definitely wouldn't say he played bad. I think he did keep the ball probably a bit more than Bruno probably would have. Not to try and make this anything about Bruno because he didn't play, but he obviously did keep the ball very well, which is the kind of player he is anyway. He's always been that kind of player who he's not going to play erratically. He's not going to force any passes. He does have a bit of a creative part of him, but I wouldn't say it's anywhere near a Bruno or an Eriksen or a Mount or any of these other players who play in the 10. So I think the mindset for Ten Hag was just put a player in the midfield who knows how to keep the ball, who's a bit more press resistant, who's not going to force anything. As long as we can keep the ball, I mean, a lot of top managers always say this, your best chance is when you have the ball. If you're constantly chasing the opposition, you've already put yourself in a terrible position because you're not even going to have the opportunity to score. So keep the ball as much as you can, and you put yourself in a perfect position to go ahead and score. So in that aspect, it does make sense as to why Mazraoui was in the middle. But like you said, it ended up being changed anyway because I think he changed it after we conceded or soon after we conceded.
We controlled the game more when he changed it.
Yeah, to be fair, we did when we brought Casemiro on. And again, Casemiro didn't actually play bad either. I think he came on and he played that ball into Dalot, and Dalot just a simple pass to Rashford, and we could have got a goal there, but it's fine margins. But yeah, that was probably when it comes to, we're probably going to move on to Ten Hag and his decision making. I think him having Mazraoui in the midfield, it wasn't actually a bad decision overall. But there was other decisions in the game which were very bad.
I think we will call this the Mazraoui experiment. I'm sure they'll make an Amazon documentary about it at some stage because, told one day you will be able to say to your grandkids, I was there when I watched Mazraoui, play that number 10 role for United against Fenerbahce in the Europa League. But did you see it as a success? Or I know Maud has just used the word good, but it's somewhere in between, isn't it? It wasn't awful.
Yeah, definitely in between. Yeah. You can't call it a success, can you? Because we didn't win the game. But I was pleasantly surprised by it. I think the main thing to take away from it is that it was a disciplined performance. He came on the pitch. When he got the ball, he moved the ball straight away and he asked for the ball. Any time the pass was on, he asked for the ball. He got the ball in one touch, he'd move it on. I know Zirkzee got the assist, and I know Zirkzee will get credit for the assist, but I actually think the more important pass was Mazraoui's to Zirkzee. Under pressure in the box with his back to goal, and he straight away, without even taking a touch, gives it to Zirkzee. I think that's I know it's not the assist, but I think that's where the goal comes from. So overall, I'd say, pleasantly surprised with Mazraoui. I actually think he looked better in there than when he went full-back at the end of the game, but I think that's just a case of, with the momentum of a game, you go from such a drastic position, going from in the middle to going out wide when you've not even got a feel for the winger. I think it was more of a case of that than he's a better midfielder than a full-back, because he's been impressive this season. So, pleasantly surprised. I actually think the whole midfield in the first half, I actually enjoyed watching that midfield of Eriksen, Ugarte and Mazraoui in the 10.
They complemented each other well?
I thought it was simple. I thought they benefited today in that first half from playing simple football. I think they kind of lost the touch in the second half, and it kind of went a bit all over the place. And then the subs that got made, I don't think were the right subs. But then again, we didn't have that many options on the bench. So, but yeah, to wrap it up, Mazraoui, I'd say pleasantly surprised. I wouldn't mind seeing him in the 10 again if it came to it.
Yeah, we'll finish off on Sam in a minute. I've just got a super chat. Make sure you get yours in if you've got a question for the panel. If you want to basically just get anything, say anything off your chest. Let's try and keep it about Man United and the game this evening. Obviously, football and topical. Class 92 says, when is enough for you guys and this manager? It's maybe a question we will tackle in a minute. Maud's just admitted himself that he's had enough after the Spurs game, so he's been open and honest there. But we'll finish off on the Mazraoui experiment. Easy enough for me to say. I'll come to Sam. Are you going to echo the same kind of sentiments and thoughts that the other lads are saying?
Yeah, I think Toast summed it up really well. Pleasantly surprised is, I think, polite. Like that is the best way of saying it. I'm not saying it didn't work, but it didn't, because we ultimately didn't create the chances we needed to win the game. We drew, we didn't win. That, again, is a bad result, because any game that Manchester United don't win is a bad result no matter who we play, because we're Manchester United and we should be winning every single game that we play. There's no excuses. When those players walk out the tunnel, they have to go thinking they're going to win. They can't think, if we get a draw, this is going to be a good result. A win is a good result.
Is that not the mentality that Manchester United went to Villa Park with, where I think, Erik ten Hag was on the verge? We'll keep on topic with that super chat then, where we actually are with this. But would you not agree, Sam, that Ten Hag did that at Villa Park? That wasn't a team set up to win. It was literally a team not to lose.
Yeah, it was. It was a team not to lose. And ultimately, he got what he wanted, because we didn't lose. And ultimately, that Villa game, Ten Hag's future was in doubt. And we didn't lose, and he is ultimately still in a job. So Ten Hag got what he wanted out of the game. Us fans didn't. We wanted to win. Yeah. I'm pretty sure everyone on this table would agree that we want to win every single game. So when we don't win a game, yes, okay, a draw isn't as bad as a loss, but it's still bad.
Yeah,
we didn't lose, but still, it's not good.
I agree. And I said this one time on one of the shows, that even though we are United, and we say this every single week, we're Man United, we're kind of...
You have to do the Gary Neville voice when you do that.
Oh,
Manchester United!
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm not going to do
it. Get with the drill, man.
But even though, we are United, and I know it's going to sound very, very weird to say, but we're actually not the United that we're talking about. The Man United that we're talking about, we're not that team anymore.
Yeah, no,
we're actually not those guys.
We're guilty of living in the past.
We are very much living in the past. And for us to go into every game, and even though I kind of contradicted myself, because before I kind of said that we should have won the game anyway, a lot of these games that we are going into, a good result could be a draw. Like for the level of players that we have, and let's be honest, we were looking at that Spurs game, we've looked at the Liverpool game, we've looked at a number of games this season and looked at the players and thought, how good are these players really? Take the Man United glasses off, those red tinted glasses, and actually look at it from a non-biased point of view and say, how good is this team and the manager together? That's not the United that we say when we say we're Man United. It's a completely different team. So I agree when you say we should be winning, 100%. As in, we want to win. As fans, you're going to go into every game, and as a player, you're definitely going to go into every game thinking, I'm going to win. That should always be your mentality regardless. But at the same time, sometimes I look at these games and I think, even though we didn't win, I look at the team and think, well, would that team win anyway? Is that the team? Is this team a team that I look at in every single game and think they're going to go and get 3 points? It actually isn't, if I'm being very honest.
And I suppose if we look at that super chat, and obviously it's asking us where we are at this moment in time with Erik ten Hag. You look at the money. I just mentioned before we went live, 660 million on the players that he wanted to bring into this team. A lot of them on the bench this evening, whether it's rotational, whether he's looking kind of ahead to Sunday's game at West Ham, whatever it is, he is responsible for, putting that team out there today. And in theory, he has reverted back and had to bring on, the Hoylands and, whoever it is, I'd say the old guard in Casemiro. He did kind of go for it, but it was a lot too late, wasn't it? Yeah. So, when you're making changes like that.
Yeah, the one sub that baffled me the most was the bringing Rashford off instead of Garnacho. I know Garnacho was getting on the ball and he was running, but he wasn't really going anywhere. And there was a little 15-minute spell where we only played down the left-hand side, and maybe that to the coaching staff looked like Rashford wasn't involved in the game, but he very well could have been involved if they just shifted the ball over to that right-hand side. Literally a second before they took Rashford off, I was about to say they should take Garnacho off and let Rashford have a go on the left, and then they can bring Ahmad or Antony on the right, just any fresh legs on the right. Because we keep going down the left-hand side with Garnacho and it's not working, so why not try Rashford on the left? But then they took Rashford off and I just thought it was the wrong sub. The Casemiro sub I liked, I thought it was the right sub. Our biggest chance of the game pretty much came from Casemiro. We should have been 2-1 up. Dallow's got to get that pass to Rashford right. Yeah, it's just inexcusable. That pass has got to go to Rashford's feet. There's absolutely no excuse for that pass. Was it the crowd getting to him? Is it just he's knackered? I don't know, but that pass has got to go to Rashford.
We're going to pick out a few players and things to actually talk about. So we will keep it obviously based on this game and sort of key moments. But I do want to go back. In fact, there's a super chat there from Dansky that says, final pass decision making let us down today. And it ties in nicely with you just saying about Dalot, getting in the right area, get your head up. And the pass,
it was an unbelievable ball
for Rashford.
The ball to Dalot from Casemiro was unbelievable, and it was that trademark Casemiro pass where he looks up and first time, just without even touching the ball, just pings it straight over the defence. Casemiro will be so let down that we're not 2-1 up off that pass. He must be gutted because that pass was mint. I just don't understand how Dalot can't make that. He spotted the pass. He knew it was the right pass to make. He wasn't even under that much pressure from the keeper. I just don't understand how you can't make that pass right. That's just a lack of concentration, or I don't know, maybe that he's bottled it off the crowd. I don't know what it is.
Well, one of the players that we will discuss then, you brought up Garnacho, so we will stick with that. We watched the game together, so I heard what you boys were saying. I won't repeat it on camera, but I mean, in terms, Sam, of the game that he actually had today, is this a reflection of his season? Because the numbers are there, scoring, he's getting the assists, so he's doing well. There has been an argument that maybe he's a better impact player than starting. Didn't think he was great today. Again, before anyone starts, these are all doom and gloom and they're going in on players. We are simply here, to basically just review the match and go over it and basically say it how we seen it, and I'm sure everybody does that themselves, whether they're down the pub with the mates at houses, whatever it is. But Garnacho, is he? I suppose the question would be: have we been a little bit too quick? And again, get in the comment section, get your super chat saying, have we been too quick to maybe overhype Garnacho?
Yes.
Ooh, I know what you think, Maud.
No sitting on the fence, Sam. Come on, say what you think.
Okay. This is what I think. I don't believe today, and it's very obvious because we all saw it and we were all sitting in that room watching the game. Garnacho didn't have the best game. He didn't have the best game, but Garnacho can and does have good moments. He knocked around the defender a few times. He made runs into the box. He did have good moments. It didn't land for him today. Take it back to the weekend. It landed.
He was excellent on Sunday.
He was very, very, very good. So I don't think it's fair to say he's overhyped. I'll tell you someone who is overhyped, Bukayo Saka. He is overhyped. I promise you. You laugh, but...
No, but you can't compare
When
Saka.
you're talking...
Garnacho.
No, listen. When you're talking about overhyped, there are certain players that are overhyped. I don't think Garnacho is overhyped. I think Garnacho is a good footballer. I don't think he's overhyped.
I think his PR team's phenomenal.
But again, it's not.
Sam, did you not say he's but you're not more or less saying he's a moments player then?
He is a moments.
Can we afford people like that?
The thing is, everyone's a moments player.
No, they're not. Ahmad's not a moments player.
creates moments.
Ahmad's not a moments player. He plays good for the whole game, and it's not all about goals and assists.
Yeah. No, I agree. But okay, I'm sure we'll get onto the Ahmad thing because it blew my mind that it blew my mind that he didn't play. First of all, it blew my mind he wasn't in the 11, and it blew my mind even more when he didn't come on and Antony came on before him. Not anything to do with the fact that it was Antony over Ahmad. It's like, but what does Ahmad have to do? Because Ahmad only came on because Antony had to come off. He looked well mad at the beginning of the game, and he looked unhappy when he had to come on. So has something happened behind the scenes that we're not aware of? Why isn't Ahmad playing games? There has to be some sort of explanation or reason, because Garnacho looked tired.
He looked tired all last season because he's playing every game.
He looked run through.
Is he overhyped?
He's playing every game. Do you know what I think?
Do you know you make a good politician, you? I went from asking, is Garnacho overhyped? He went on to Saka.
And then
I have to get my stuff on Saka. I do not rate that guy.
Think this is what I think about Garnacho, and look, I don't want to hate on him because that's weird, isn't it? He's still a young player, still a lot for him to learn. So I think anyone who hates on Garnacho is in like, it makes it kind of like
we're
personal.
not going to sit here and say, get him out of that club, he's a young lad.
Weird,
from what you've seen this season, like I say, are fans, or Manchester United fans, the ones that were saying, give him the number 7 shirt, that is overhyping a young lad.
He has definitely been overhyped, 100%. And yes, I understand he has had big moments. He scored in Champions League. He's had that overhead kick. Like, he has had big moments. And I think a lot of people look at those moments. And like you said, for someone for some people anyway, considered a moments player, as United, is that not the one thing that we criticise his team for? Playing in moments. We constantly say we want to play good for a whole 90 minutes. So why are we praising a player that plays good in moments? That shouldn't be what we want.
It's the entire team's problem, though.
If he's the moments player, he's one of them. And it's not the entire team's problem.
It's the same way Bruno gets criticism for it, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Bruno was a moments player. He's probably the worst one for it.
He's another one. But you want players who, look, I hate comparing United to like City and Arsenal because I just don't like those teams. But let's just be real. They're the ones they're the standard that we're looking at. Most, if not all of those players are not moments player. They're players who can go a whole game without scoring or assisting. Look at someone like Grealish. You can go a whole game without scoring or assisting. He could still be one of the best players on that team.
I agree.
He's not a moments player, but the way he impacts the team and just keeping the ball, making the right pass, making the right run, still being creative. You don't have to be a moments player to have a good game. You can not score or assist and still be a top player. And that's what we need in our team. We need players who don't only rely on the fact that they can do something crazy out of nowhere and have a crazy shot or, beat a defender. And these are things that, like, they are good, but unless you're doing it consistently throughout the game, it's actually detrimental to what we want. Because we actually want players like Ahmad, you obviously just spoke about Ahmad, who can continuously throughout the game, play well, continuously play the right pass, continuously hold the ball, continuously track back and press and do all the things that we want. And leading on to Ahmad, I don't know. You said before it could be something personal. It sounded like it's something personal now. The way he looked when
it's giving off Sancho.
It's giving Sancho. It's giving Zaha vibes. It's giving like there's something going on behind the scenes. The way how he looked on that bench from the camera, you could see him on the camera, and he just sat there like this. It looked like he's thinking, why am I even here? The fact that Ahmad only came on the pitch because Antony couldn't play. That is insane. If you said to me at the end of last season, Ahmad's not going to play unless Antony doesn't want to play, or Antony's injured, I'd think, what? Antony's like the 3rd or 4th choice right winger we have. But that's what it is right now.
You're Ahmad at this moment in time. I was going to say you probably look exactly how you were looking then. You were just kind of sat there.
I'm thinking in my head, Kev, what could have possibly happened from the start of the season when Ahmad was starting against Brighton and he gets a goal and he gets Player of the Month to now? What could have possibly happened?
What was he rewarded with after that?
Nothing.
He's on the bench for the Liverpool game. One of the biggest games of in Manchester United's calendar.
This is what I mean. What could have possibly happened between that little 2-month period? The only theory I have is he's not performing in training. That is.
I think he's an easy target.
I just don't understand what else it can be.
I'd say, look, none of us know what's going on, right? But if he called Sancho out for not training well, he should call Ahmad out for it.
But I don't think it's that though.
No one knows.
Exactly. I'm saying, if it is that, then there's not. It has to be the same standard.
But I think the big difference between those two players is Sancho wasn't performing on the pitch anyway.
Yes, no, I agree. And
if you're not training well,
going on.
if you're not training well, you're not performing on the pitch.
Yeah.
Then fair enough, the manager can say what he wants. But for someone who is performing on the pitch, we don't know what he's performing like in training. None of us are there. That's why it doesn't make sense, because we're seeing the effort on the pitch. When he came on today, I think one of the first touches he had, it was like that
someone off his first
ball,
touch, mate.
Beautiful first touch, and then he's like put it through the defender's legs and won a foul on the edge of the box. Yeah. Imagine if he had him for the whole game and he was doing that for the whole game.
Do you know what that reminds me of? You just mentioned, Tull, that he scored against Brighton, got United's Player of the Month, then he's rewarded with a start on the bench against Liverpool, biggest game of the season.
It was downhill.
He come on in that game, and within, about 3 or 4 minutes, he had more touches in the opposition box than any other player that had played. He brought him on, was it 3-0?
He brought him on about 70, 75 minutes
in. It's humiliation.
Within 5 minutes, he'd had the most touches in the box out of any United player in the entire game, which is just another example of, why didn't he get his start today? Why was he shoved out the team when he'd been performing? I don't want to talk about Ahmad all day, because we're going nowhere with it. We keep saying every week, why is Ahmad not starting? Why is Ahmad not starting?
I think he's an easy target.
There's so many ways you can look at it. What's Antony done to warrant a start? Not a start, but warrant to be above in that pecking order over Ahmad? And what's changed from Ahmad being above in the pecking order at the start of the season to now he's all the way at the bottom? He was the first choice right winger at the start of the season. What can have possibly changed?
It's crazy, because it's the big games which he gets dropped for. Because I can imagine who we got on the weekend, West Ham. I can imagine him probably playing Ahmad or bringing him on as a sub. But you think, well, when it's a Tottenham game, when it's the Liverpool game, when it's like a Community Shield or FA Cup final, these are the games where he thinks, I don't trust him anymore. I don't trust the guy who's been performing for me and been saving when my other attackers, when Rashford and Højlund or Zirkzee, when these guys are not playing well and he's the only attacker that's playing well, for some reason when it comes to the big moments, it's like he loses all trust in him, which makes genuinely no sense.
The question is, why don't you play your best players? And what's the answer?
We need to get into the head of Erik ten Hag, because I honestly think that Ahmad strikes me as a kind of character. He's quite quiet. There's no ego there. Whereas I think some of the other players in that team that he'd be jostling for position, your likes of Garnacho, Rashford, whoever it is, I think they're a bit more outspoken. Garnacho's capable of going on social media, causing a bit of a stir by not even saying anything, just liking a tweet or whatever on X, and doing that kind of thing. Whereas Ahmad, and there's nothing wrong with being quiet and somebody that just wants to, play football and that, but I think that is going against him. Now, the thing is with Ten Hag, this contract's ticking down, and that's why I was asking the question then. If you put yourself in Ahmad's position at this moment in time, you're looking at this and going, as much as he loves United or wants to be here, biggest club in the world, whatever, you're going to look at it at some stage and go, I want to be playing football. And at the start of this season, Erik ten Hag said, didn't he, after the Rangers game pre-season, he said, this is Ahmad's season to shine. So what the hell has gone on?
Yeah, if I'm Ahmad, I'm looking at that thinking, if you do want to offer me a new contract, just know that you better put some certain things in my contract, because there's no way I'm signing a 5-year contract for this to be happening every single year. That's insane. Knowing full well that, let's be honest, Garnacho's not leaving anytime soon, so that's one player in his position. Rashford ain't leaving anytime soon, that's another player in his position. I don't know, they might even go and sign another winger. If I'm Ahmad, I'm thinking, you know what, either let me go and play football, because that's what I want to do in my life. I want to be a footballer. Or if you want to give me a contract, you better make sure you play me, and that has to be something that he says in his contract.
Yeah. A few super chats to get through here, actually. This is for Shaylin. Hope I've not said anything wrong there. Says, I feel like this team is so afraid of losing due to the noise surrounding the team that they just don't seem to be able to click things together in order to win. Hambayaka says, Dalot cost us the game. Do you know what? We'll get on to Dalot very shortly, because there's a few messages coming through. You're obviously having your say wherever you sat, at home, on a beach, wherever you are. The Kid Vic says Ahmad is gone in January. Watch. That's something we have just kind of discussed. And as much as I would like him to stay from a player's point of view, you would probably start looking at this now and thinking, this manager doesn't like me for some reason. I'm not
even though he won't start him, he won't let him go in January, because in terms of squad depth, we can't afford to let him go.
Yeah. If I was Ahmad, I'd go on loan. I'd request to go on loan, because looking at the situation right now, will Erik ten Hag be manager at the beginning of next season? No. you'd think, right? So if you leave in January, playing half of the rest of that season, perform, score, assist, the next manager is watching you and taking a look and going, well, I don't understand why I wasn't playing.
He'll get knocked back though, because genuinely need him in terms of squad depth, even though Antony shouldn't be ahead of him in the pecking order. Antony got injured tonight. So when Antony came on tonight, let's say that happens on Sunday, it's regardless of what Ten Hag wants to do, Ahmad has to come on.
He's forcing himself on the pitch now through injuries.
Yeah, he was on today because Ten Hag had no choice.
Yeah.
You saw that he didn't want to bring him on.
But if Antony's going to be injured for a substantial amount of time, then can he force his way in that way? I mean, I remember Tony Martial had a little bit of a thing with Mourinho, where Mourinho was hesitant to pick Martial, but then Martial kept scoring every game, and it was like, couldn't drop him. You just hope if Ahmad gets his chance, which it's not like he didn't do it. When he came on when he was starting against Brighton, he scored.
Scores against Brighton.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's baffling. And
Seems like he's fighting a losing battle, doesn't it?
We could talk about it all day, but at the end of the day, I just want to see him over Antony, mate. I want to see anyone over Antony.
Hambakahaya, I hope that's the right name, and I hope again I've not said something funny without even realising, said Sir Bobby will be turning in his grave knowing that Dalot received his trophy last season. He's trying to get Ten Hag fired.
What?
Look,
That is so
do we see
unfair.
any kind of witchcraft in this?
That is so unfair.
Look, I love Dalot, but that pass today, he's got to get that pass right.
Well, they've followed it up with another super chat. Obviously got a lot to get off your chest this evening. That's what we are here for, the therapy. He said, Dalot tried to give a penalty, kicking the ball out so quickly after the penalty incident. Everyone knows you keep playing until the VAR sides with the ref. It's not a bad point, that, because we were all sort of going mad at that point in time saying play on, play on, play on. And then you always get that one player that kind of plays to the crowd a bit, tries, the Fenerbahce fans will give me a round of applause for putting the ball out, whereas we're like, keep it in play.
Jose Mourinho side would not have kicked that ball out, mate.
Exactly.
They wouldn't. Dalot wouldn't be starting the next game if it was Mourinho manager, mate. That'd be Dalot on the bench for the next 4 weeks.
This is for Shaylin, member for 29 months of the United Stand Members Club, is back in the chat saying you didn't say nothing wrong, Kev. Cheers, mate. So I obviously got the pronunciation first time round. That was the one I kind of struggled with. I was trying to read it. I was thinking, and then I have to proofread and make sure that I'm not saying anything. You know what I'm talking about. It's hard work. This. That same name's in it again. Hambakayai says, I like Ahmad Diallo, but at the top level, you have to fight for your spot. Look at Brahim Braille.
Oh yeah.
He has KM9. See, this is where all the kid sort of slang comes in. And Vinicius Junior 7. Yeah, come on, you. Look at the age of me, man. And Rodrigo in his spot. He still has a great attitude fighting for his place. And Rupid Cupid says Antony's even worse than George Weah's fake cousin. Remember that story? That's an absolute classic. And Mocha says match reaction. Ugarte be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. We missed the headline of Funline there, for this evening.
That's getting used next time.
What we'll do, right, is I did have a bit of a structure. We'll bring it back. It seems like a hell of a long time ago now that Manchester United did take the lead in this game. 15 minutes. Christian Eriksen, I want to talk about. The resurrection, as I call him. This man he's back in form, Sam, isn't he, this season?
It's mad.
At the start of the season, did you ever envisage that he'd have played a run of games like this, but playing consistently so well?
No, and the honest answer is no one envisages that.
Maybe, just like the Mazraoui number 10, nobody's seen this one coming.
Maybe Ricky was saying he has to play every game along with Evans, but it's crazy. He has been, for our last games, one of our most consistent players. And there's nothing that you can really say except thank you and well done, because again, a goal here, a goal there, a good through ball, winning the ball back. What can you really criticise Eriksen about in recent games? You can't, because he's.
That's what you get from an experienced player, don't you?
Exactly. He's genuinely at the form of his life. How old is he? 30.
Old.
30, mate, he's old, and he was good at Spurs, but the ratio of numbers he's doing, if you look at the amount of games he's played this season, the amount of goals and assists he's put on the table already, it's probably in the form of his life. He's probably playing the best football he's ever played. What I love about Eriksen is you could take away every single goal and assist and you'd still say he's been our best player this season because he's just consistent all game long. And you know what I absolutely love? I love that he's absolutely put to bed these last few games, this idea that he can't play more than an hour. Because if you look at the last 10 minutes of that game when everyone was knackered today, Eriksen still looked sharp.
Still going.
Eriksen was buzzing about all over the pitch, trying to move the ball about. He looked like he had the most stamina out of everyone on the pitch. So that idea that Eriksen can't play a full game, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
Do you know what?
It was the same thing on the weekend.
I want to put something in perspective here. Jamie Jackson put a tweet out the other day. I don't know whether you've seen it, but this is to do with like Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen suffered a cardiac arrest on the pitch playing for Denmark, had a pacemaker fitted and played 259 days later. Luke Shaw last played 247 days ago for Manchester United.
Really?
When you put something like that in perspective,
That's mad.
you know, when you think what he has come back from, but Mords, you wouldn't think that he's just stepped up his game because he's after a new contract?
Oh no, that's a bit hard.
Just playing devil's advocate here, just asking the questions that
That's a
people
bit
want to
harsh.
know
I
the
mean,
answers to.
Eriksen, the fact that we've seen Eriksen play at the standard before. Like I don't think anyone's actually surprised that he can do this. It's just the fact that
Did it at Tottenham?
he did it for United in his first season. He was actually playing to this level. It's just the fact that
Playing well at Brentford, that's why we've signed him.
playing well at Brentford. So I wouldn't say I'm surprised that he can do what he's doing. It's more the fact that, you know, last season he obviously didn't get picked a lot and we were so poor last season. You would have thought if he was capable of doing this, he would have played a lot more. Considering Ten Hag sees him in training every day, we don't see him in training. You know, all we can see is when he plays. So it's a bit confusing now as to why he wasn't playing so much last season. When there was times where he wasn't injured and he still wasn't playing. He was just on the bench, just rotting away. But I guess that's another Ten Hag. I don't know what to even call it.
Well, he's kind of contradicting himself in a way, isn't he? When, you know, you look at Christian Eriksen should be in this team because he had a good run of games, been playing well. If you're playing well, you're in the team. We go back to a player we were just talking about in Ahmad, and it doesn't matter, he can score 3 overhead kicks, you know, get man of the match, whatever, every single game, and you get the feeling that he wouldn't be necessarily be nailed on for a starting place in the next game.
I've just had a thought. Last time I was on the fans forum, I said these exact words. The manager doesn't reward good performances.
Never a truer word.
He doesn't reward good performances, and it's just a fact.
Yeah.
You can perform really well, but it doesn't matter because you won't play in these games.
I thought Højlund was absolutely brilliant on Saturday and he didn't start today.
I think that might be because he's also coming back from injury, to be fair.
Maybe.
It might have been, but
he looked very good again when he came on, though.
He has his favourites, this manager.
Yeah, he was far better than Zirkzee when he came on, Højlund.
Yeah, levels.
Yeah, far better.
Abdi's just fired in a super chat and said, any regrets for Fred and Amrabat? What a question.
No.
They weren't spectacular tonight. It's not like they stood out.
Yeah, none of these. I'll be honest. The way United play and the style, quotation marks, the style of play that we have, or trying to have.
What style of play? What are you on about?
Whatever you want to call it, if it's a style or no style, the way we play football, another player could come into De Bruyne could come into the team, and I promise you, we still would win games. It wouldn't make a difference.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, in terms of, we're obviously talking through the key moments of the game. This is the 15th minute of the game. Eriksen, really, really good finish. One of the players I've mentioned, who got the assist was Joshua Zirkzee. Now, I've gone on record as saying that this moment in time, and I'll throw it out there again, but I did say that Zirkzee reminds me of a giraffe in a pair of roller skates with a Fellaini wig on, which again, people, if you want to come at me, I'm here for it. But again, I didn't really see much, Sam, this evening to suggest. I will give Zirkzee time, but this moment in time, he just seems to stutter and stall about. It was a great assist for Eriksen today, great piece of play. But then he just seems to back up these great bits of play with just like moments where you go, what is he doing? You know, in fact, Mazraoui and Fellaini was a bit like that for Manchester United.
He was better.
I think
Fellaini was better.
Way better.
Look, I think, as you said, it's too early on to call Zirkzee a failure, this, that. But you're right, this isn't the Zirkzee we saw at his previous club. We signed a different player from what's performing on the pitch right now, and that tends to be what happens at Manchester United. We signed a fantastic player in Antony. that fantastic player doesn't play for Manchester United. Players tend to come to Manchester United as very good players, but they're not very good players when they play for Manchester United, and it's so baffling, and it's
Does it not
so
beg the question, Sam? Why you could say, why did we sign Antony? Where does Zirkzee fit in?
I think
Mason Mount.
The only reason that Zirkzee is playing at the moment, and this is what he was bought for, it's Højlund versus Zirkzee, and it will always, until we have another striker, be Højlund versus Zirkzee. And Højlund probably didn't play today because we've got a game on Sunday and then we play again Wednesday. But who else is going to play if you have to rest Højlund? So who else is going to play? It's not going to be Ethan Wheatley in a game like this. Ethan Wheatley's a baller, don't get me wrong, just banging them left, right, and centre for the lower division. But you're going to play Zirkzee, and yes, we can criticise Zirkzee when he does get the ball. But it's not often he gets the ball. We're not creating chances for him.
But I don't think we spoke about this a lot in the build-up show. I don't even think Zirkzee's problem is, we spoke last season about how Højlund never got the ball and he didn't get a lot of chances, and it's the team's fault. That's why Højlund's not scoring a lot, which is partially true. I don't think that's the same thing for Zirkzee. I don't think he's even putting himself in the right positions, and I think even when he's in the right positions, he can't finish. How many chances have you seen this season where someone's putting a cross? Rashford has put him in through a few times this season, and he's not finished. He hasn't got that striker instinct, which is what I've said so many times.
What position would you say he is? Because I really can't work. I've seen him many times this season now.
I don't know. He's not a goal scorer, that's all I know. He's just not a goal scorer. Whatever position you want to say, 9.5, 10, whatever, he's just not a goal scorer.
He's not a goal scorer, he's not a number 10. You won't play him out on the left, you won't play him on the right.
We knew that from the first couple games he played. We knew straight away he's not going to get in those positions. What's concerning me a little bit now is just the execution just all over the pitch. The amount of times he had the ball today, he's seen the right pass and he just overhit it completely. He completely get the weight of the pass wrong. To me, with Zirkzee, it feels like more of like a concentration and like a tenacity issue more than anything. Yeah. Sometimes you see the technique, he'll bring the ball down. I think that's really about connection. I noticed it when I seen him for the first time at Old Trafford against 20. There was a little period of the game where I was thinking, mate, he looks like a serious player, the way he was bringing the ball down and linking play. But then also sometimes you see him and it's like he's completely out of his depth. So he's a very raw, young player, which we've probably got too many of those raw players where, we're having to wait to integrate all of them in. Yeah. I think the Garnacho thing's a similar issue where, we can criticise Garnacho for being overhyped, but realistically, should we have put all our eggs in the Garnacho basket in the first place? Should we put a 20-year-old as our starting winger? The amount of games he started last season was just insane. A 19-year-old on the wing. So it's like, have we shot ourselves in the foot? Are we paying the price of, not having enough depth in that position, or not having a more established player in that position who then the young players can work underneath? It feels like we put a lot of pressure on young players at this club, which I know we've got a history of young players performing, but they've always had experience around them. Even the 99 team, when people say class of 92, the players they signed between 1992 and 1999, they went and signed the best players in the Premier League. It's not like we had an amazing academy and then they just came in and then they set the world on fire. No, we were still signing. Andy Cole was the best striker in the league, went and signed him. Then Dwight York was the best striker in the league, we went and signed him. We were still signing the best players, and then the young lads got to work underneath them. We've just thrown our young lads in. And it's like, go and figure it out. Højlund's an example. We did it with Højlund, and I said at the start of the season, I think we should have signed a striker. Because even though Højlund...
Is this not what Zirkzee's supposed to be, though, the backup striker?
Yeah, I believe so, but...
He's not playing backup.
But I also think, would we not have benefited from getting someone with a bit more, experience? And someone who also, we know what we're getting. No one knows what we've got with Zirkzee here. Like, it just feels like we could have signed... It's early days, but it seems like we might have signed another player where in a year or two we go, what did we sign him for? That
summed him up this evening. I mean, he picks that ball out the air. The first touch is lovely. Then a bit of an overhit to the byline, but you think, he's kept it in. Turns round and just plays it straight to a defender, and you're like, how can you just go from this moment of this great touch, bringing it down,
So raw.
bursting into the box,
so
and then
raw, isn't it?
I think literally what you just said is spot on. He's raw talent without coaching. That's what I look at Zirkzee like. It's like you've got that ability to, he has that nice first touch. He has the ability to pass, but it's about coaching him when and where to pass it, who you're passing it to, when and where to be in the right position. There's no point being good at finishing if you're never in the right position to finish a ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no point being sick at passing and having this great link-up play, but you're passing it to the wrong player, or you're forcing a pass which you probably shouldn't try and force because there's a much simpler pass which you could play. It's just about, like I said, a great player, as in ability-wise. He wouldn't have come to United if he didn't have the ability, but just that coaching, that to understand and build up his IQ of the game is what he needs.
Just for all young players as well. I mean, that whole scenario we've just spoke about with young players, people talk about, players at United not performing and then they go elsewhere and perform. Everyone knows how much pressure gets put on Man United players. It's like today, realistically, a draw at Fenerbahce and a draw at Porto aren't terrible results, but they seem it because of the amount of pressure that's getting put on now. It's probably a big accumulation of things like that. Young players who are thrown in the deep end and they've not got experience around them. It's just a big build-up of pressure and pressure and pressure. And young players are going to crack. That's what young players are. They're not made. They're not experienced yet. So
except me.
There's so many. Yeah, except Cobble's different breed. I feel like it's a big accumulation of issues at Manchester United where there's so much pressure and expectation to where.
Look at what it's done to top managers.
Yeah, maybe it makes sense that people come to United and don't perform. Look at the expectation and the pressure that we've probably shot ourselves in the foot and created a lot of it ourselves.
And they'll be like, this guy on the United stand done out by calling Zirkzee a giraffe in a pair of roller skates with a flaney wig. But listen, it's a joke, but it does. You won't unsee it now when you watch him play. You will see that. But thank you, Sam, for that one. Fair play. Erik ten Hag on Antony said his training performances are that good that he deserved to come on. When you have to come off so quickly, that is really sad to see. Hopefully it's not too bad. We have to wait 24 hours for what the assessment is.
That kind of goes into what you were saying.
I really, really want to know if the question was, why didn't you bring Ahmad on over Antony?
I think it's more about
we have to know the question before we say. We have to know the exact question that was put to Ten Hag before we say that he's just called out Ahmad.
No, he's not called out.
I don't think that's what he did.
I don't think he's called out Ahmad, but it is similar to what you said about the training thing, because he's called out Sancho about training. We now know that training is something that he does value very heavily as to how he picks his squad. And this isn't to say again that Ahmad doesn't train well, because he hasn't said that, so you can't put those words in his mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
But he is saying that Antony is training very well.
It's like
probably better. He's trying to make the point about saying it.
Subliminally, that's what he's saying.
Antony's training better than Ahmad, that's why I'm playing it.
We were there. We were at. We observed the first bit of Manchester United training on Thursday. I think it was Thursday morning or Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning, we were there. We observed the vibes in the team were good. There were good vibes, and I remember saying to you, everyone at Carrington tells me that Antony is such a good. He trains so well, but it doesn't transform onto the pitch. And Eric just confirmed it.
Well, mate, have you ever seen players like that though, who you go and hit free kicks with him or something, and it's like, mate, he's got technique, and then you see him on a pitch, and they just don't.
In a game situation, it's totally different,
It's completely different, mate. Especially if you're at Fenerbahce away. Do you know what I mean? In a cauldron of a stadium like that. Some people can have the technique and they probably will look amazing in training, but it don't matter if they've not got the execution. If they can't perform on a match day, they're useless.
Yep. Sam, I know you've seen that super chat flash up before, and it's got your name in it. It's addressed to you. You need to speak to the camera and address the United Stand viewers. Sam, you need good PR, not good performance for back-to-back starts. Just basically somebody hitting at you. We need a response from you, right? We need some kind of statement or something.
I think he's talking about Garnacho.
I think that's what he's saying, yeah. I think he's saying PR over performance is a concept at United.
I don't know what to say.
No comment.
Emmanuel Edwards, a super chat in there, but I didn't actually say anything. Make sure you say something. We want to know exactly what you're feeling, get your thoughts in. Where are you with Erik ten Hag? Was this a good draw on reflection away to Fenerbahce? We'll get on to man of the match and that as we get towards the end of this show. James says, this probably sounds like rubbish, but did Antony get put on to injure himself? So he doesn't play, doesn't get loaned out and stays at the club.
The wildest,
I love the conspiracy theories this evening. I'm down for this.
Can I say the wildest part about the Antony injury was 5 seconds before, 5 seconds before he got injured, he literally pointed to the bench and said, I'm not coming off. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm not coming off. He walks into the pitch, doesn't even touch the ball, walks to the pitch and goes down and gets on a stretcher.
Mate, 10 seconds later, he asked for a stretcher.
Bro, you are so mad that you went for the stretcher.
Mate, do you know, right? So do you know what annoyed me, right? Because when we conceded the first goal, nobody seemed to have spotted it. I'm sure someone's got to put it on Twitter or something. But literally, got to be 20 seconds before we conceded and Lindelof was at fault. Lindelof was limping. Lindelof passed the ball and started limping as if he'd pulled his calf or his hamstring or something. 20 seconds later, he's getting back, jogging back to defend a cross. His heart isn't in it. He doesn't even attack the ball and we concede from it. And then another player's come on the pitch going, oh yeah, I'm fine to carry on. How do you go from, do you know what, I'm fine to carry on to 10 seconds later asking for a stretcher, mate?
Do you know what? If it comes out tomorrow that the fidget spinner has broke his leg
or
his
his ankle,
mate, you two are going to burn in hell.
I'm telling you, mate, it best be.
You really are.
I don't get I don't get how you can break your leg, but then say I want to come on though.
Yeah, I'm not saying a wish injury on him,
but I'm saying, poor Antony.
I'm saying that injury best be worth the stretcher, mate.
He walked through the mix zone on crutches. So
back in the days, mate. Last time I remember the stretcher coming out was Tony Valencia snapping his leg into 2 pieces, mate. Or Eric Bailly, Luke Shaw, or Eric Bailly doing a backflip and landing on his neck. That was the last time I remember stretchers being pulled out, mate. I'm not saying I want Antony to be injured. What I am saying is the injury best be worth the stretcher, mate. Because 85 million quid is a lot of money to pay for a stretcher.
I'm telling you, we've been to hell once tonight in Fenerbahce. You two boys are going back.
Stretcher,
no, I'm not saying he shouldn't be.
Don't start backtracking
No,
now.
I'm just saying I don't understand how you can
Backing up.
how you can go from I'm okay to stay on the pitch, but my leg's broken.
Yeah, you might have put
in 5
weight on
seconds.
it.
but is that on the medical team? Because what happened on Saturday? De Ligt's head was bleeding.
The medical team's terrible.
He came
anyway.
off. But hear me out. So De Ligt's head was bleeding. He came off. They took a look and sent him back on. It bled. He then went off again, and that's when we conceded. They then there was no bandage. There was nothing. Yeah. The medical team need to be seriously looked at. Because if the medical team would have allowed Antony to carry on, like they allowed De Ligt to carry on. So is it not on the medical team to then say, no, you can't carry on?
They don't have X-ray vision. Like, they can't see if his leg's broken. He knows what his...
Yeah, if he's going, I'm good, I'm getting up, I'm good.
Like...
You know, he got up and he wasn't even limping or anything. He got up and started running as if he was going to ask for the ball, and then he goes like that. So you go, oh, I actually went, when he made the call, I went, you know what, fair enough, because Lindelof probably should have done that before, and maybe we wouldn't have conceded the goal. Because, you know, we were like, maybe we wouldn't have conceded the goal if Lindelof took the responsibility to say, look, I'm going to have to come off here, you're going to have to get someone else on. But then the stretcher, mate, well, like, what was the stretcher really necessary? You was next to the touchline. That made it worse, mate. You're near enough line on the touchline. He could have done a sausage roll, mate. He could have done a sausage roll onto the sideline.
Oh, you're a bad man. You really are. Are you going to burn? You're going to honestly burn it now. One of the other key moments of what...
Best not start on Sunday, mate.
One sec.
Go on, Sam.
If it was one of your more favourite players that came on, got injured, said they could carry on, but couldn't, and got stretchered off, would you have the same vibe?
I'd say, why are you getting on the stretcher for, mate? You just said you're going to play.
Yeah, but... Would you have the same anger?
The reason my initial frustration, it's come from the Lindelof thing, which it seems like nobody spotted it. But if anybody, I know Rick does it, so Rick might do it for me, because he does the full recordings of the game and watches the full games back. Lindelof was limping about 20 seconds before we conceded that goal. He pulled up limping, and then the ball went out of play. And then when the ball came back in play and the cameras came back on, he was jogging back to defend the cross, and his heart was not in it. He did not attack a ball, which he should have attacked. That's where my frustration came from, because that was a scenario where, you know, if Lindelof sat down and went, have pulled up, because he ended up coming off 5 minutes later anyway, Lindelof. So if Lindelof pulled up and said, I'm injured, maybe we wouldn't have conceded that goal. That's kind of where my frustration came from.
I hear that, but then if Lindelof really was injured, then why didn't he come off at half time?
No, because this happened in the second half.
No, I know, but okay.
He made a pass. I don't know what happened. He played a pass, and after he played the pass, he started jumping up and down and limping, holding his hamstring or his calf.
Can I just say on Antony as well? Obviously there's been some talk that apparently he might go out on loan or something in January. There's something along it, but let's just say that happened now, and he didn't play for Manchester United again. How would you sum up? It's a great question. This. How would you sum up his time at Manchester United? Just come out of it. I don't know where I get this.
It's a failure. It's probably one of the biggest failures United have ever had.
Would he be the pound for pound the worst signing Manchester United have ever made?
Easily.
Over Alexis
It's
Sanchez.
so harsh though, because his price tag isn't his fault.
No, I'm not blaming him. It's United. I'm saying it's United's
It's
problem.
a United performance as well.
Yeah,
and from what you say. But
United.
I understand, Sam. The fee that was paid, that is not on him. And if anything, it's heaped more pressure on him. But again, I never thought the club should have spent that much money on a player that wasn't, really that. You're paying for potential, really, weren't you?
And it's the club. It's just completely the club's fault.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Look, if you're playing for Ajax and Man United call and say, do you fancy it? You're gonna say yes. So then it's down to the once the players agreed, it's then down to the club, and the club to get. I don't know the word. What's the word? The club to get done like that with that price tag. There's no one else's fault but the club.
Yeah, but mate, if we paid 20 million quid for him, I'd feel ripped off. Honestly, mate, if we paid 20 million quid for Antony, I'd still say, wow, what a
hell of a lot of money,
what a flop signing. I said before, if we paid 85 million quid for Dan James, I'd feel less ripped off.
Scored some massive goals though for United.
Antony, Antony. Do you know what? If you could turn it round, I'd be buzzing. And for some reason, I always have a little glimmer with Antony where I think he's got technique. So maybe if he can just get the momentum going, maybe he can make something happen. But mate, even if we got him for free, I'd say what a waste of wages. I'm sorry.
You are his biggest hater.
No, mate, because even if you don't, right, so what do you want to go off? Do you want to go off goals and assists? Because he's not got any of them. He's barely got any of them.
He's got a signature move.
If you want to go off just general performance, then I wouldn't even go there, mate, because you ain't going to win that conversation.
He did the
fidget spinner. That's a signature move. That's
okay, he got injured flicking the ball up today.
Yeah. Anyway.
Very good. Super chats, where am I up to now? Wow. Anthony Tracy says, inconsistent with a mix of young and new, patience all. So somebody that's saying, he's basically saying to us and the fan base, we need patience. Haya is back in. Honestly, mate, you're having me over tonight. Says, Yamal played more games than Garnacho, but nobody talks about it because he delivers on the pitch. Yamal even started in the Euros.
Yamal played
he's different,
world-class player against Bayern Munich. Did you see United against Bayern Munich?
Guy was still doing his GCSEs or whatever when he was at the Euros.
It's like doing homework between games.
Yeah, there's no difference. It's like comparing Garnacho to Wayne Rooney.
But that's the problem. Like, I feel like Garnacho has Lamine Yamal hype. That's why I say he's overhyped.
He shouldn't even be in the conversation.
It shouldn't be a conversation.
Is he overhyped?
His name shouldn't be getting mentioned in the same sentence.
There shouldn't even be a golden boy race.
Yeah.
It should just be Lamine Yamal and that's
it's detrimental to Garnacho.
Could be anybody else in there. Kyle Robinson says patience is needed. This is a reasonable result.
I'm kind of with him though, because if you go and look at the next two fixtures in the Europa League, I know nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed with Man United.
Before FC20.
Well, I said
it's a winnable game. This,
mate. Those two teams, right? We never heard of. They're not going to rock up to Old Trafford and score. Neither of them are. That is 6 guaranteed points, mate. And as long as we get through that initial stage of the Europa League, we'll be. That's what Eriksen will base it on. He'll be going, well, let's wait and see what happens. He won't be saying, he won't be saying base it off these first 3 games. He'll be saying wait till we played the 8 games and see where we're at. There's no way those 2 teams rock up to Old Trafford and score. I know we're not great at the moment.
Clip this man up.
But come on, like, you ever heard of him? One of them's got 2 names, mate. Like, we're playing 3 teams in 2 games. we ain't conceding a goal to them, mate. If we take 6 points from them games, we're probably safe. I don't think we might not make the top 8, but we'll definitely get through to that playoff.
So what happens if we lose those games?
Famous last
If we lose those games from Ten Hag out.
One of the teams is above us in the Europa League right now.
Who have they played?
This is irrelevant.
Fenerbahce away and Porto away are tough games, man. Like, very tough games. That's why I think if we just beat 20, which we gave away a lead with, it was a comfortable game.
It was the manner of the Porto one to go 2-0 up, 3-2 behind, then to get last minute goal.
Those performances where we should have put the games to bed and we've not done, and now we're, again, pressure. We've put unnecessary pressure on ourselves. These 2 draws today would not have been as bad. You always say, just win your own games. Just win your own games. If we just won that game at 20, which was very much in our control, the goal we conceded to 20 was, I don't want to say a freak goal, but we gave the ball away in our own half. And then one fella went and ran the entire pitch, and everyone seemed to be sticking a foot in, and no one could get the ball off him. I don't want to say freak goal, but that game was in our hands. We should have won that game. If we did win that game, these 2 draws today would not have been a catastrophe.
I hate to say it quickly, but the bold team beat Porto.
The way he says the bold team, like it's the bold team.
They beat Porto with 10 men. So they can definitely score goals.
They had 10 men.
Tulsa's been clipped up saying easy 6 points in these.
Bold had 10 men?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, attack it.
Kyle Robinson says, see out old contracts with Erik Ten Hag 2 more years. Zane 7 says, you could put a fidget spinner on the pitch and you wouldn't see the difference. Still think Alexis Sanchez is the worst transfer because we knew how good he was for Arsenal and he did nothing at United. I suppose people do take the wages into consideration when you try to work out who has been the worst signing. My mate again, Hambayaka, is in and says Garnacho is a nasty piece of work. Screams at his teammates for not passing to him. However, he rarely, if ever, successfully passes to them when in the exact same positions. Jaytin says anything to speak about paying £55 million and £250 per week to Mount for hospital bed subscriptions. I guess Antony with British passport won't get such a bashing. I think I did speak earlier about Mason Mount, saying I don't really understand why we signed him for such an amount of money. Carl Robinson in again says last year we lose this match, be patient. So there's a little bit of positivity, shall we say, within the fan base.
In terms of today, like just looking at today and not looking at it as 20 Porto and today, just today, I don't think it was a bad away performance.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I really don't think it was a bad away performance. That's why I'm not overly critical of, well, we should have won today. How much time has Ten Hag got left? How long are we going to stick with Ten Hag? Because realistically, Dalot plays that pass to Rashford, it's happy days.
Yeah. Well, as we move towards the end of this fan forum, which has been action-packed, I'd written so much down I wanted to do. We've just gone off on one, which I like, so I've not even covered half of the stuff that I wanted to really cover. But towards the end of the video, before we do Man of the Match, we usually do Beth's magic moment.
I've got mine.
Which we should call Kev's magic moment,
We've not even mentioned
So have a little think.
Pointing behind me right now.
Shout.
You can see it on the
How
screen.
have we not mentioned that?
Yes.
That double save, I always say I feel like goalkeepers get the most disrespect or at least the most underrated players when they have a good performance. That double save is the reason we did not lose. That's facts. I don't think we would have come back.
Goalkeepers win you games.
They win you games. We should look at a goalkeeper making a save like that as a goal. The same way how we look at if Garnacho scores a goal or Eriksen scored today or if Rashford scores, we should look at that and think, Onana scored a goal for us. That's how valuable that save was. And it was a double save. The first one was good and the second one probably just as good. So that, what was it, Beth's or Kev's magic moment? That's by far the magic moment of the game.
Yeah, it was almost Gordon Banks. You're probably all looking at me going, who's Gordon Banks? But anyone that's in my age group, you know what I'm saying. From Pele, like one of the best players ever. It was a similar kind of header. In fact, I think Banks was better. There was a lot more power on it, but a similar kind of, down low. But it was the double save from Onana as well, the one after a tip it. It wasn't just kind of straight at him, to the reactions to get himself up off the floor. And if we'd have gone in to a position where we won that game at the end of the day, you would have looked back at Beth's magic moment or Kev's magic moment, whatever we're going to call it. Tull, I feel like I've given you far enough time here to think and rack your brains about your magic moment from the game. The
Onana one's obviously the magic moment, but if you want me to give you...
You have to be different.
If you want me to give you something else, I will give you something else. Mazraoui's little pass to Zirkzee before the Eriksen goal. I know Zirkzee got the assist, but if you have a look, Mazraoui got the ball smashed into his feet. The first time gave it to Zirkzee. That's where the goal came from.
I'm only joking, Sam. Sam looks really worried here. I'm only joking that you can have the same if you want the same as more.
Yeah, the Onana one's the one.
Or was there any little bits of the game? Maybe Antony's injury.
Oh, I've got one as well.
Oh yes, yeah. My magic moment.
Tell the viewers. Speak to the camera.
My magic moment of the day was that Ugarte sliding interception to stop their first from them taking the lead. That was phenomenal.
That was a great recovery.
What a guy.
Yeah. I mean, speaking on Ugarte, I think I've been critical of this myself, like the harsh criticism of him, because let's be honest, he had the greatest start to the season. For someone who we thought was going to come in and change the midfield, I don't know why we even thought that anyway, but...
No, he's had to settle in, hasn't he?
He's had to settle in, and I still think
tired towards the end.
Yeah, I still think he does.
He played though, so...
I still think he does still need a bit of time to fully settle in, but I think today, not even just his ball recoveries, he was actually good at carrying the ball as well. He was making the right passes. These are things that people weren't talking about in terms of his attributes before he came to United, but he's clearly worked on these things
as a player,
as an actual midfielder, and he can not only, like I said, he got that defensive ability, but he can also keep the ball. He can also work with the other midfielders around him. So I think that's another reason why he played well today.
I've been thinking the entire time we've been forgetting to bring Ugarte up, because the first 60 minutes he was mint. He's probably one of our best players today, and I said before the game, we've got to get a performance out of Ugarte today. Now that he's getting a start, we've got to see what he can do, because he's had a few weeks to settle in now. We kind of forget when we signed a player that most of the time, they've got to settle in. It's just a way of life, mate. If you're going to move from one country to the other, you can't really expect to then start 3 days later and play your best football if you're going to think about it realistically. But today, I wanted to see a more solid performance from Ugarte, and what I was concerned is that the way he lost his head at the Spurs game when we went 1-0 down and he kind of went all over the place, I worried that will he have a similar reaction to the hostile crowd in Istanbul? Will the crowd get to him and kind of affect his game, and will he become a bit more erratic? But he was the complete opposite. I thought the first 60 minutes he worked his socks off, really good on the ball, kept the ball moving. I do think he got tired towards the end though. I do think the last little 20 minutes of the game I thought he looked knackered, but realistically it's because he put such a shift in.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a go at Ugarte, are you? What if he'd have got injured?
No, mate, no, he did enough for me today.
Right, we need to, as we're at the end, I will dip into the chat, and obviously if you want to get interactive and put in who your man of the match was, I think this is quite an interesting one that we find ourselves. For me, I didn't think there was one kind of standout player. I know in the previous game, Brentford, in a good way, I think there was easily 4 or 5 that could have been man of the match. Today, I think it proves probably a little bit more difficult. What I will do is I'll open up what I call the United Stand Ultra Chat, which is basically the live chats. That's the fancy name for it. So if you want to start putting in who you thought was man of the match, obviously don't waste your time putting in Antony, fidget spinner, anything like that. They'll be blocked straight away and removed from the chat. There we go. I'm right on cue. Fidget spinner. Danny Boy says Kev Army. Thank you very much. Mods.
I've actually got a couple of names. Not like you said.
Is it this man for the save?
It could have been. No, honestly, it could have been.
But it's not?
It's not. The names that I was thinking of was 1, Eriksen, 2, Martinez, and maybe even Højlund.
Yeah.
Captain... Martinez, the butcher,
Martinez is
captain of Manchester United today as well.
I do think he put in a decent performance as well today. So I'm just gonna say Martinez. I feel like when he's
Is De Ligt a shout as well?
I'm going with Eriksen for mine. He just didn't put a foot wrong again. You know,
You spent too much time with Ricky. The school of Ricky is
Mate, no, he's so influential on the game though.
No, he was good.
All game long, and even the last 10 minutes of the game where you're looking at Ugarte and Ugarte's knackered, but Eriksen was still buzzing all over the place. I'd love to know how much distance Eriksen covered tonight. Ugarte will still be up there because the first 60 minutes was just insane from Ugarte. But Eriksen must be right up there today for covering some of the most distance, and he just didn't stop moving till the end of the game. So, and obviously the goal. I would have probably still given man of the match if he didn't score the goal. That's how much I rated Eriksen's performance. I agree with Højlund. Deserves his flowers today. Højlund's getting better, especially in these European games, coming on in a rough atmosphere and putting himself about and getting in the mix of things. I criticised him a lot last season of shying away and getting ate up by centre-backs. This season, he seems to be really throwing himself in the thick of things and getting just stuck in a bit better, going up for headers and bullying centre-backs a little bit more, which we need in the team because we've been lacking it loads in the last few years. You know what as well, another one I'm going to mention, Casemiro. Thought Casemiro was pretty good when he came on. Not man of the match. Not man of the match worthy, but
it's your opportunity to do it.
That ball that he put in for Dalot, which should be a guaranteed goal because Rashford would put it in the back of the net if he got it given to feet. We'd be saying what a pass from Casemiro. It's won us the game.
Yeah, Michael in the chat says Maguire. I'm not sure where Michael was watching the game this evening, but I hope sounds like you've had a great time anyway. Sam, do you want to end us off with your choice of man of the match?
Ugarte.
Nice shout. Do you know what? There's a hell of a lot of love in the live chat. You've got Maguire there. There's a lot of Ugarte. There we go. This is it now. We need to wrap up. Who are you going for then?
Yeah, I'm going for Ugarte. I think he proved a lot of people wrong today.
Yeah, I think I've got to say the butcher.
Including the gaffer.
I'll go for Martinez.
Mazraoui.
And not Mazraoui in the 10. And I think I would have to agree the magic moment. Yeah. I mean, I could have said Eriksen's goal actually. I'll say Eriksen's goal to be different. You can have to, and we're all different, aren't we?
4 big magic moments for a 1-1 draw. That is it. You think we just watched 99, mate?
And when we get the news tomorrow that Antony, going to be out for 2 years, you two will burn in
film your apology video. I'll be
mate, I bet he makes an appearance on Sunday.
I bet he starts.
2 quick super chats to get through. Ham Bakaya, I've probably said this different every single time, says Ugarte is great defensively, however at the top level CDMs have to offer something going forward. Look at Kante, Casemiro, Busquets. For the reason Casemiro, Ugarte, however he is 23 and can improve. Bips says I saw Lindelof fuming at Ten Hag after being subbed. Did anyone notice? We did see that, but we haven't got time.
I mean, we're so angry.
We could have gone on here till the early hours of the morning, but we've all got stuff to do. What I would like to say is thanks for joining us on this match day. Content is always there. The countdown to kick-off, Goal Bridges watch along, the fan forum. We do it all again, tomorrow, back for the 10 a.m. show. Sam, yes?
Yes, just before we go, a quick thing to say. After we finish this, refresh the United Stand page. Beth has spoken to a player. The interview will be uploaded shortly.
Ooh, who could it be?
Antony.
Let's let them click on the video.
Okay, yeah. Click on it.
Look at Tull. Yeah, Antony on his hospital bed, on his crutches. Hopefully he is well. But what I would like to say is thanks for joining us. Thanks to Sam, Tull and Maud. Really, really enjoyed that. It's absolutely flown. All that's left for me to say is you've been watching the biggest Man United fan channel in the land. This was the United Stand. Good night.